Netflix jacks up their prices again. Is it time to get mad and cancel Netflix? Well, let's go ahead and talk about it. Hey everybody, I'm Ken with Mid-Level Media, back today with another video, and we're doing something a little different today. This is going to be a little bit of a topic video because this popped up on me last night on Netflix. Yes, Netflix is raising their prices from $12.99 to $13.99. So it has been $12.99 since January of 2019. And when I saw this, I immediately got a little frustrated because I didn't know anything about this. And I was kind of caught off guard. And when I looked it up, it was announced, I think, at the end of October, but I hadn't heard anything about it as of right now. So it kind of caught me off guard, and I was kind of like, they're raising their prices again. When is it going to stop? It just keeps going up and up. So I thought I would just do what all YouTubers do and just jump on the camera and just voice my frustration with you guys. So what I want you guys to do, I really want to dig into this topic and kind of see what you guys think, because I'm really interested. Is this something that you think is fair? Is this something that you think is just a natural progression and evolution for the streaming service to raise their prices? You know, they're adding new content. I really want to make this a topic video and just kind of dig into it and kind of decide with you all here, right here and now, is this fair? Is this something that we're willing to keep paying for? Or how high are we going to go with Netflix? When does it stop? Are we going to eventually have a $30 Netflix streaming service? Who knows? But I just want to dig into this topic. So if you can, I would really appreciate it if you would comment down below your thoughts on Netflix raising their prices from $12.99 to $13.99. Leave me your thoughts down below. Are you thinking about canceling? Are you keeping Netflix? Do you think it's fair for the content that they put out? Just leave that in the comments below. I would really kind of like to start a discussion and get into this with you guys, because I've got a lot to dig into here today as far as just numbers and just comparisons to other streaming services that I want to talk about. I want to make this kind of a casual video. I've got all my websites pulled up. I've got some information wrote down right here. I really want to dig into this because I think it's easy to go straight to anger. They're raising their prices. We always get angry when people raise their prices, but there's a lot of moving parts here, guys. There's a lot to digest, and I don't know if I've fully made up my mind if this is worth the price, if this is worth the money. Obviously, I'm probably not going to cancel Netflix. I use it a lot. It's got a lot of great content on it. But when I talk about Netflix and just comparison to other streaming services and stuff, I'm going to try to keep it about the original programming. All the streaming services have an excellent library of classic films, of older films, of new films that have been released in theaters that you can buy on Blu-ray. So taking all of those out of the equation, I want to focus on like the original content, and is it worth it based on the original content alone? Because like you all can tell behind me, I'm a physical media guy. I believe in, if it's available to buy in physical media, I think you should buy it in the physical media form. And as we've seen with Netflix, with Hulu, with Amazon Prime, they can put the stuff on their service, but they can just as easily take it back off. So it's always good to own the physical format of the film. And me being a physical media guy, you know, going into this, I don't want this to be like a Netflix bashing video, but I'm always going to be critical of these streaming services, just because the very nature of them is killing the format that I love actively. Do I think it's going to succeed? No, I think physical media will always be around in some form or another. But it is actively killing the thing that I love. So I'm always going to be a little critical of these streaming services, even though I think that it is good overall for the industry to have both the streaming, the physical format, just all of the options we have, theatrical, hopefully, if we can ever get back to the theaters, but all of these different formats and ways we can watch movies. Movies have never been more accessible. Movies, TV has never been more accessible to the masses. So in that way, I think that Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon Prime, Hulu, they're all doing great work just getting all of this stuff out to people in mass. So I definitely appreciate them for that. But let's dig into this, guys. We're going to go over just the original statement and what's going on right here. So this was announced on October 30th. I'm going to read you this a little bit from CNN. So the streaming media company Netflix is raising the prices on its standard and premium plans for US customers. Its standard plan is now $14 a month, up $1 a month from last year. So it was $13 what we were paying, and now it's $14 for the standard plan. Now, if you do not know what the difference is between the standard and the premium, it's basically Ultra HD. You have 4K capabilities when you have the premium plan. So the premium subscription was $15.99 a month. That's going up $2 actually to $17.99 a month. Its basic plan remains unchanged at $9 a month. So the basic plan is basically you don't have HD capabilities, you only have standard definition. So just getting into this right off the bat, so I don't think that Netflix can really promote 4K capabilities, at least in the way that 4K really needs to be viewed. I think it's best viewed, obviously, in the physical format. I don't think, especially with them downgrading their streaming resolution and stuff like that, you're not getting the best resolution, even if it's 4K on a Netflix streaming service. So the fact that they're even making this option for UHD when it's not really true 4K capabilities is kind of laughable in my opinion. And then you're going to raise it $2 to $18 a month and really act like you have the best 4K resolution. But I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. But getting into just the price point, guys, and going up $1 a month, let's go back a little bit and discuss kind of the history of these price hikes. So Netflix as a streaming service really kind of took off in 2010, and it started off the standard rate at $7.99, which, to be honest, at that point, all Netflix streaming was movies, already made movies, licensed movies. You had The Office on there, I believe, back in 2010. So they didn't have any original programming at all in 2010. So that was just $7.99. Everybody knows how Netflix started. It was a mail service. You wanted the movies, the DVDs, they sent them to you in the mail, you watched them, you sent them back, you got more DVDs, and the Netflix streaming service was just another option, another way to watch their film. So that started off at $7.99 in November of 2010. In May 2014 is when we got the first a price hike, and that went up to $8.99 right there, which makes sense because at that point they had some original content like Orange is the New Black, like A House of Cards, a few others as well. But we move on to October 2015 and they go up to $9.99 for the standard definition. And at that point, they also introduced their premium plan, which was $11.99 in April 2013 is when that started. So October 2017, they went up to $10.99. As you can see, it's going in about 2-year increments here, starting with 2015. So October 2017, it goes up to $10.99. January 2019, it goes up to $12.99, which is what we're paying currently. So we go towards almost 2 years later, December 2020, we are going up to $13.99. So it's still a 2-year increment. So Netflix is staying mostly consistent with what they're doing as far as the timetables. And this was actually a longer gap than the October 2017 to the January 2019 gap was right there. So then with the premiums, October 2017 was $13.99. Then January 2019, it went up to $15.99. So they've been increasing their prices kind of as they go, and it makes sense because they started off at $7.99 only having the licensed stuff, the movies, the TV, and then they go into original content, and they are producing more original content right now than any other streaming service out there. So I think it's important to take that stuff into consideration. There is just an ungodly amount of stuff on Netflix right now to watch. In 2018, they released 345 new original programming. In 2019, they released 371 new original shows. And I would consider like 2017, 2018 really the point where they started to really take off on their original programming. Before that, you could kind of pick out all the original programming on Netflix. You would get on there and be like, oh, well, they've got like 10, 12 new original shows. I'm going to dive into that new Netflix show, House of Cards, and see how that is. But now it's like you couldn't keep up with all of this new Netflix original content if you tried. There is so much of it, so many different things, animation, documentaries, freaking baking show series. It's just so many different things, comedy specials, new movies, new TV series. It's just, they have extended themselves into all these different forms of the medium, and just so much original content right there. In 2020, they have been releasing like 50 to 60 new original TV shows and movies a month. So to be honest, if you are really looking at this just from a comparison to how much they're putting out versus how much they're raising the prices, it's really not that bad in comparison. I mean, you're going up $1, $2 every year or so, but they're like doubling, tripling, quadrupling their content. So I think I don't know. I go back and forth on this because you can also point to quality over quantity. Is everything that Netflix is putting out the best quality? Because I would argue it's probably not. Of course, they have their quality stuff. They got their Stranger Things, they got their Ozarks, The Irishman, Marriage Story, Devil All the Time. A lot of great original programming on Netflix. The Haunting of Hill House, Daredevil, Glow, The Witcher, The Crown, Umbrella Academy. Just so many great Netflix original shows. But for every great original Netflix series or show, it feels like they've got like 20 just terrible garbage new original shows. So taking that into consideration as well. And then you got to point out that a lot of those movies that I would call garbage and aren't that good, there's an audience for that. A lot of people love those movies, and that's just my opinion. I don't like any of the Adam Sandler movies on Netflix outside of Merowitz Stories. I thought he was good in that. Hubie Halloween I thought was terrible. Murder Mystery's terrible. The Wrong Missy, which doesn't have him in it, but it has David Spade, which is Happy Madison production. That's one of the most god-awful movies I've seen all year. But there's an audience. People like that stuff, and people are happy to have it on Netflix. So you got The Kissing Booth, Six Underground, just tons of terrible films, but they're films, they're there. And you could argue that, yeah, Netflix is releasing terrible films. They're releasing good films as well. That's the same as anything. That's the same as any TV miniseries or show or movie that comes out in the theaters. There's always going to be terrible movies. There's always going to be good movies. So is that a fair comparison to make? I think it's just when you look at in terms of just pure quantity of what's coming out. It's like if we've never had like 60, 70 movies come out or TV shows come out on this level before in the past. When you go back 20 years ago on TV, for the new fall season, you would get like 20 or 30 new shows for the entire fall season. You are getting that just on Netflix now, 40 to 50 a month. So when you're just looking at the sheer quality, they're not all going to be bangers. They're not always going to be the best TV and shows that you've ever seen in your life. But yeah, I think it's important to kind of, and that's the reason why I'm doing this video. In a way, I'm kind of just talking myself through this as I am you as well. And again, guys, if you would be so kind to comment down below your thoughts on the whole Netflix situation. What do you think of the price hike going from $12.99 to $13.99? I would really love to hear it and encourage you to comment down below. Also, like this video, and be sure, if this is your first time discovering me here on the Mid-Level Media channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more great content. Like I said, I do mostly physical media based stuff, but I want to get into doing more streaming stuff and talking about some of these streaming services because I think that it has a direct impact on physical media for one, and for another, that is the way that the medium is going. It is pushing every single day. As much as I want to grab and hold on to my Blu-rays for dear life, this is moving more towards the streaming market, more towards streaming every single day. This medium, movies, television, entertainment, it's moving more towards that every single day. So I think it's important to kind of dive in and talk about these things as well because they're important issues in the entertainment industry. But just going into more comparisons, guys, we have Disney Plus right now, which is at $6.99, which really, if we're just talking about the originals, yes, having the Disney library is amazing, but I can buy all those on Blu-rays. They only had The Mandalorian. They've had a handful of movies like Hamilton, like Ivan the Incredible, a few other movies that I can't really remember off the top of my head. I think $6.99 for Disney Plus with having the entire Disney library, that's a fair price for them. Now, as they release more Marvel shows, I anticipate that price is going to go up. $6.99 though for just The Mandalorian, pretty much for 2 months is what Disney Plus has. So I think $6.99 is a fair price for them. Hulu, which I would consider, if you have Hulu with ads, which I do because I'm cheap and I don't want to pay $11.99, which is what it is without ads. I think that's a very fair price. Hulu has an incredible catalog of movies and original movies, original TV shows in particular. You know, they have The Handmaid's Tale. They have The Great, which I watched this year. I thought that was an incredible show on Hulu. Little Fires Everywhere, I thought was a great show on there. They have a lot of great original TV on Hulu. I wouldn't say that their movies are as great. I just watched Bad Hair a couple of weeks ago. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people did not. Of course, they have all those Welcome to the Blumhouse or whatever, the Blumhouse movies. Those are all crap in my opinion. And I'm trying off the top of my head to think of other Hulu originals, but I think for $5.99 that's definitely a fair price, for at least for what I pay with ads. So moving on to Amazon Prime, you have $8.99 a month if you're paying by the year, because it's $119 a year. Now, if you're just paying by the month, that's $12.99. Amazon Prime has tons of great original content as well. They have a lot of original movies. A lot of these new movies, independent films, like A Honey Boy, which came out in theaters last year, but that's also an Amazon film. So that was put out on the streaming service, and that doesn't even have a Blu-ray release yet. So I don't know if they're kind of holding off on that one. But they have a lot of great original films that come on there. A lot of A24's catalog is on Amazon Prime. I think Hereditary and Midsommar, Lighthouse, all of those are on Amazon Prime. They have great original programming. I just finished watching a show called Utopia. That's a great show. They have The Boys, of course. They had a show called Upload, which I haven't dug into yet, but I know a lot of people like that. So I watch a lot of original programming on Amazon. So they definitely have a lot of great stuff on there as well. $8.99 a year. Like I said, if you're paying by the year, that's definitely a great value right there. So I think at the end of the day, guys, if we're going to compare this to one thing, because I think this is what Netflix's goal is, that's what they're aiming for. They're aiming to take on HBO as being the premier, not just streaming service, but just film and TV entity. Because HBO for a long time, it's not television, it's HBO. They have had that moniker of being the best in entertainment and television and movies for the past, I would say 20 years, ever since they hit with The Sopranos in the early 2000s. And Netflix is aiming to take that title, and they are getting there. I mean, they're getting just as much, if not more, Emmy nominations now than HBO for their original programming. They're getting into movies, which, to be honest, HBO has got some catching up to do with their original movies and programming. If they want to get more into that, they definitely have their TV catalog nailed down, but movies like Bad Education, Unpregnant, American Pickle, they're not going to do it compared to what Netflix is putting out film-wise. So with their shows, though, they got Game of Thrones, they got Lovecraft Country, they got Doom Patrol, Sopranos, Watchmen. Of course, they have a very impressive catalog of TV shows, and they continue to have an impressive catalog of TV shows going into 2020 with Lovecraft Country. The Undoing right now, that Nicole Kidman show that it's on, I'm watching with my wife currently, and that's a really excellent show right now on HBO that more people need to be checking out. They did the Stephen King show earlier this year. You know, The Outsider they did earlier this year. So Netflix, though, with the going up to $13.99, I think by the time we've reached next year, maybe even before that, they're going to hit the same level as HBO, because right now HBO is $14.99 a month. It's $15. It has been $15 for a long time, ever since pretty much since Game of Thrones aired, maybe even before that when they were doing the HBO Now and Go and all of that stuff. HBO's been $15 for a long time. Netflix wants to get to that plateau, that point. And I think that they will this time next year. They're going to be on par. So are they equal at this point in time? Is Netflix equal to the likes of an HBO? Is it fair to compare the two? I think that HBO, as far as their original TV shows, the ones that are at the top are at the top. None of those, like Game of Thrones, Sopranos, The Wire, those premier prestigious shows beat out shows like Stranger Things and Ozark, at least in my mind. But there's no denying that Netflix, they just have the quantity. They have so much amazing quantity on their streaming service, and they definitely beat out HBO when it comes to that. But HBO definitely has the quality, I think, still nailed down. And another thing, guys, Netflix has the movies. They have all of these movies that they're doing, and going back to the spending, what they're spending 9.8 billion in 2017, 13 billion in 2018, 13.9 billion in 2019, 17 billion on original programming in 2020 is what Netflix is spending. So to justify these costs of raising their budget, maybe you're not on board for it. Maybe you're just like, well, I just want Netflix to watch The Office or some of these like TV shows. Well, I got news for you. A lot of those shows like The Office getting ready to go to Peacock. Friends already went to HBO Max. They're going to be siphoned off on different streaming services. People take more ownership of them. So going forward, you're going to have to rely on Netflix for their original programming. So you can't just use Netflix anymore as a fringe a binging session service or an Office binging session service, as I've done in the past. But you have to rely on this new and original programming. And I think Netflix, when it comes down to it, guys, the knee-jerk reaction, you can get mad that they're raising their prices, but it is completely justified in my opinion. I think that it is justified. Just talking myself through this, like I said last night, when I got on there and saw the price hike, my immediate reaction was to get angry. Oh, they're raising it again. When does it stop? But then when you really start to think about it and just think about all the original shows and stuff that they've come out with in the past 2 or 3 years, it is absolutely worth it and justified on their part to do so. So I agree with this price hike. And to be honest, I think they could go to $20 a month. And I would probably still pay for it. I don't want them to hear this, and I don't want them to raise the prices to $20. Certainly not, as I know a lot of people do not want as well. But I would pay it at this point. And this is coming from somebody that's very critical of Netflix originals and what they've done. I didn't like the old guard. Project Power is a mediocre film, in my opinion. The Five Bloods was good, but it wasn't as good as I think a lot of people made it out to be. My favorite film on Netflix, I think this year, well, too, I mean, you got Extraction. I thought that was a phenomenal action blockbuster. The Devil All the Time, it was a great film to me, but again, I'm not a big fan of Marriage Story. I didn't think that was that great. The Irishman was okay. It was a Scorsese film. There's a certain level of greatness there, but it was just okay to me. So I'm very critical of Netflix and their films, and the fact that they put out a lot of crap that I just don't like when I watch it, and they promote it as it's something great, and then it ends up not being. So, but at the end of the day, guys, there's just so many options. There's so much there to occupy your time with. And I think right now, with all of us being home in quarantine and having to spend more time at home, it's good to have those options. And when you really break that down, $14 a month to have an endless amount of content to watch. You will never get through all of these Netflix originals and all of the programming that Netflix continues to come out with, unless that is all you do with your entire life is sit on the couch and watch Netflix originals. You'll never get through them all. And it's really incredible what that service has done just over the past 10 years. And it will be very interesting to see where they go in the next 10 years for sure. But with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. I've been talking forever, and I would love to do more of these kind of just video thoughts and kind of reaction videos with you guys, just kind of getting my thoughts out there. These longer formed, I don't want to call it like a video essay because I'm not really analyzing anything except for a price hike, but I would definitely love to do more of these type of topic style videos. So if you like videos like this, leave this video a like and let me know that you want to see more stuff like this. And also, like I said in the opening, all throughout the video, comment down below your thoughts. I really want to hear them. That is the only reason I'm making a video like this. One, to get my thoughts out there to you guys. Also, I want to receive your thoughts on this whole Netflix situation as well. Do you think the price is fair? Do you not think it's fair? Are you willing to cancel Netflix over it? What is the highest amount that you're willing to pay for Netflix original content? Let me know in the comments below, and let's have a conversation about it. And if you guys haven't yet subscribed to the Mid-Level Media channel, I would definitely appreciate you hitting that subscriber button right now. But with that, guys, we're going to end the video. I'll see you next time.